The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the big show. I am Larry Neal.
Hey, and I am Alex Wallace.
And we are the Spoken Token podcast.
This is good.
Alex, how you doing, sir?
Woo! I forgot what you looked like, honestly. It's been a minute. I
forget what you look like. I had a nightmare last night. So
I know. It was like, oh gosh. What is that? That's Alex. Oh, no, that's a gremlin from Gremlins 2, specifically the one that wears the makeup. It's so hideous, it's scary. Oh, no, that's Alex.
That's real specific, man.
That movie messed me up as a kid. Is it scary? Was it funny? I don't know. You just don't know. But I do appreciate, this will be my little side thing for the episode. No, it won't. I'll have more, but this is one of them.
I was about to say, wait, what?
Yeah, the part where Hulk Hogan, stops the movie and says, "There's gremlins in here!" and throws them out. I think that's pretty fantastic.
That's pretty funny. Well, otherwise, man, besides being, scared of gremlins, how are you doing, sir?
Woo! Larry. So, for all of our new audience members who may not have been with us for a long time, I actually am a teacher, specifically a theater teacher, and I'm in the middle of it, man. I am in the middle of it. I come home, I sleep, I eat, and then I go back to work. So,
that's what I do.
Yeah, that's true, because you have to drive a while. So board gaming has not been a priority. Well,
I'm sad now.
That's not true. It's been a priority. It's just not been a possibility for me, except for a couple of experiences that I've had over the last couple of weeks. But man,
we're gonna get into them.
And I've got 3 or 4 games on my shelf that I like. Man, I'm ready to get to them, and it's not really a shelf of shame or even the shelf of opportunity that
we don't do that here.
I know that people are reclaiming that.
We don't do that here.
But regardless, I just haven't had the opportunity to get to some things, and
no, I get it.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of things I'm just right there on the edge. It's oh man, in 2 more weeks, you board game. I am playing you.
Oh man, do I not feel the same way? Of course, still getting settled into the new job, but it's been that same way for me. Or should I say, my Digimon, all of it, is sitting just off camera on the table, waiting to get together. I've still got boosters on the shelf. I have 4 booster boxes that I've decided you and I are going to each open one. We're going to open probably one of each. I've got 2 boosters of the first set and 2 boosters of set 1.5. Probably going to keep one of each sealed. So you and I will go through one of them whenever we get together and play. But there's that. It made it back to the table because I found another booster, the starter rather. I found another starter for normal MSRP. And so I picked up some starters. So it's on the table. And then just today, I was trying to open it on the show. Alex shot me down. So, hey guys, when Alex starts crying about, I never let him contribute, don't believe him because he shot this down today and I went on and went with what he said and we didn't open this up on the show. We did it Alex's way today. So,
it was a random box from your mail.
No.
Literally could have been
it wasn't. No, it couldn't have been
taxes.
anything. I told you it wasn't. It said Alliance Distributors on the box.
I am sure there is a tax company called Alliance.
No,
I am Googling that right now.
There is no tax company called Alliance Distributors. There may be one called Alliance, you're right, but not distributors. I knew this was board game related because of the label. And I was correct because I'm holding it up now, but you all can't see it. But Alex can see it again. I got my physical copy of the G.I. Joe role-playing game. Look at how beautiful and amazing that is. I am so excited to play this RPG. I do have the RPG.
We have been doing this for 6 years, and you still...
We've played RPGs.
No, but no, just this idea that you're look at this, it's beautiful.
Well, now I have to show it to you.
We are literally radio.
I have to show it to you because, you're not in my house now.
I know.
You're 80 miles away, down in the bowels of Tennessee.
In the bowels. More the armpit of Tennessee. Is
but I got that. I got my Kickstarter for Wreckland Run the
Wreckland
pledge
Run.
manager.
What's that?
That is from Renegade. That is the latest in their Solo Hero series. It's the next one coming out. So it's kind of a Mad Max theme.
Okay, so is this kind of like that Proving Ground type?
Yeah, it's in the same series. They're all in the same series. Yeah, Proving Ground.
Did they fix the little hiccup that they had?
What hiccup was that?
Well, apparently, remember, didn't they have to do like an errata for Proving Ground?
Something shipped incorrectly. Yes, something was printed incorrectly. Yes.
Okay, it was just printed incorrectly, so it wasn't actually a flaw.
They've been fixed that. And the other one, they have it as well. The space-based one, which also had a expansion in the Wreckland Run, but I just finished my pledge manager for those. The pledge manager came in this weekend, and this box came unannounced. I'll have to check my email.
Your G.I. Joe box?
Yeah. I mean, again, like I told you, I didn't. This was technically it was a pre-order. I want to say I bought it. I bought it a couple of weeks ago, but I want to say release date is now, I think. And so it was one of those, hey, this is your last chance to pre-order. So technically it's a pre-order, but clearly I bought it straight from Renegade. So that's why there wasn't a whole bunch of fanfare. But no, it's really, really cool. It looks fantastic. I've been pouring over the PDF already, so I'm super excited about the system. Listen, I'm going to go on and admit this to everyone.
Oh, please admit
those who know me well, those who know me most well with regards to G.I. Joe will not be surprised by what I'm about to say. So, roughly 18 months ago, when Renegade announced this RPG, I closed that browser window from watching that, sitting in my office in my apartment. I opened up my word processing program, and I finally created my character, literally the same day they announced it. So my character, who I'm going to play when I'm not running the game, he has been created on paper since they announced it. But let me tell you where he's coming from. I'm not about to give you his origin and his backstory. This guy is a guy that was ruminating. He's been ruminating in the back of my mind since 1982, back when I was a kid. No joke. Every time I ever took those out and played with those with my cousin or by myself, whenever I bought something, whenever I read the comic book, even when I watched the cartoon, the Joe, quote unquote, that I wanted to be or play, that's where this guy came from. I had just never written it down because there was no avenue to, use it. But the moment, they Scott and all of them, they made the announcement, I sat there giddy, man. I hit close on the browser window. I brought up my word processor and I let it all out on paper. So, Alex has said he wants to play with us, and we want him to play. You'll get a chance to meet this guy. I think you'll be impressed. But he's been a long time coming, since 1982.
Oh, goodness.
There you go. This has been Confession Hour with Larry. So, hey, man, new games coming in. I'm like you. Trying to get used to work and get settled in work and do work things. Mm-hmm. I do work for a publisher, but we do work, and my job entails a lot. It really does. It's really cool. It's still ramping up. I'm still getting stuff on my plate. But I'm like you in terms of I'm looking at stuff thinking, man, as soon as I get the time, I'm going to play you so much. And, some things are closer than other things. But, there's my solo games right over my shoulder. Look there. There it is.
Oh, there they are. This is a little, just to interject and steal your thunder. So there's, the Ares Expedition is dropping its Kickstarter for the three expansions.
That's the card-based version?
Yes.
I don't care about that.
I replaced my big honking terraforming Mars. Didn't you get my copy?
I do have your copy. It's now my copy.
But interesting enough, you were the one that bought the sleeves for that game. So it was already yours anyway.
Yes.
So
that's why it's the same reason why I ask you when you get certain games. Hey, did you get the mat?
What is it? Stars of Akaros. This big kind of like Gloomhaven and space deal. I just got it. Should be here in like 6 to 8 weeks. I'm super pumped about it. But I remember you keep saying like, when I backed it, just back in like 2020, right during the pandemic. That was my first pandemic buy. You know, everyone had been stuck in the house, so spending money. So you were like, I need retail therapy here. I don't care how much. But I think even though you kept saying buy the playmat, I don't think I bought the playmat. I can't remember if I did or not. So. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for you to get rid of that copy that you're carrying over your shoulder. I'm here for that. Nah. Well, all right, my brother. You know what? Let's get on into the rest of the show. We got some very interesting stuff to get to, some new games and some new experiences, and some information to share. So how about we get to it?
Yeah, let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Spoken Token Podcast. At this time, episode number 108. Come join us as Alex gives first impressions on Batman Gotham City Chronicles, and Larry took a look at the upcoming Kickstarter, The Dark Quarter. Then, they talk the new Jurassic Park game, Alex talks about finishing an episodic gaming experience, and so much more. So, sit back, relax, put your tray tables in the upright position, and turn us up as we join our hosts, Alex Wallace and Larry Neal. And we are back. So excited to be getting in this week, or this episode, I should say, some first impressions. Mr. Alex, for those of you who don't know, we like to sometimes talk about our first time with a title, first time sitting down to play it. And we cover, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're not really looking for numbered scores. We're going to talk about what it was like to get it, maybe that first time we opened it. Whatever it is that we want to cover, we're going to talk about it and give you our first impressions of what it's like to be with the game. Alex, sir, let's let you go first this time because you've got an interesting one.
Oh, man. Okay, so at the top of the show, I told you that board gaming hasn't been a possibility, not necessarily a priority. Well, the one game that I was able to get to the table in the last couple of weeks was something that has just...
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy. And I was really afraid to get it to the table. Number one, I put a little bit of cash into getting it because it's not a cheap game. And I was afraid that the game was going to be all sizzle, no steak. Because it is a miniatures game-ish, a miniatures type game. But I got Batman Gotham City Chronicles to the table. And we played a full 4-player game. I ran the bad guys. The 3 other people at the table were the heroes. And wow!
You got a 4-player?
We played 4-player. You will always play 3 heroes and then 1 person playing the bad guys. So regardless of how many. So it'll always kind of shake out the same.
I like it.
So first impression is the gaming experience was absolutely insert really exciting adjective here. It was explosive and nail-biting and just absolutely entertaining. It felt like a kind of Batman the Animated Series, like an episode of that. Just the way the twists and the turns of the actual minute-to-minute gameplay. So the story that our particular session told was thrilling. And when I say thrilling, it literally came down to the last player's last dice roll to determine the winner. And it was basically Batman defusing a bomb at the very last second. I mean, it could not have ended any more spectacularly.
Oh gosh, I'm thinking of Lego Batman in the whole bomb diffusing scene. It was so good. Good.
I really did think in my head, like when one of the guys was throwing batarangs, it goes, he keeps throwing it, hit it first time.
First time.
Yeah. So that said, it elicited such a wonderful thematic experience. Now I'm gonna tell you, it was. Luckily, I had spent several hours watching playthrough videos, and becoming familiar with the rules, that I was able to kind of move through the rule book and answer questions in a relatively reasonable pace.
Gotcha.
But
Otherwise, good rule book, or did it need that?
It's just overloaded. They when you understand what they're doing with the rule book, you can go, okay, like I understand that they're trying to like break it down into every bit of minutia that they can, and it's structured in a way that once you understand it, it makes sense. But if you have no idea, like learning to play the game from the rule book itself. Now, I've got a caveat here. This is the original Season 1 rule book that came in the base game. They have since put out a Season 2 rule book. Okay. A Version 2 rule book that I think is I've yet to look at it. But so there's a lot of things that it does. Yeah. Once you finally like see it in action, it makes sense. But it's cumbersome. The rules do not do the game any favors. Okay. But once you have a handle on it, the rules make sense, and they actually are quite intuitive. This game does struggle with a bit of graphic design issue. So there are some symbols placed in different spots that don't necessarily line up with others, but they mean the same thing. And so you're like, why is that here and not there? And so it's a little jarring and a little it causes a little bit more confusion than it could. Now, the miniatures were fantastic. It was so cool playing with Bane, and he had two different characters. So it's like Bane and Venom injected Bane, and then and all this kind of stuff. I really, really enjoy. So the way the game, there's two systems at play here that make this game incredibly unique. The first system is on the hero side, and on the villain side to an extent, is all actions are basically it's resource management. So each hero has this really cool little bat tablet, and it's got 6 wells, maybe 8 wells that are on the outside, and then there's got 3 kind of wells bars in the middle towards the bottom. The bars in the middle hold your energy cubes, and each character gets a certain amount of energy cubes. Now, those energy cubes, you pull one, and then you put it into one of the wells on the outside that corresponds to a particular action. So if you want to move, you take one of your energy cubes and you put it into the well that holds movement. And so at that point, then you can take the move action. Or if you want to attack, let's say, all right, I really want to hit this guy, and I'm only rolling 2 dice. Well, you can pick up 2 energy cubes and put it in the well, and now you're rolling 4 dice. So for every action you want to do, you can up it by the number of energy cubes. What happens is that those come down and refresh, but you only can, if you're active, you actually only refresh 2 of those cubes every turn. So the idea being like you're exerting yourself and going crazy and doing all this stuff. Well, you don't actually have an opportunity to rest to get your energy back for your next turn. Yeah. Unless you choose the rest stance, in which you can move a bunch of your spent energy cubes over and sets you up for another turn. So it's a really, really fascinating system. It's also really cool because there are no set turns for the hero players. So let's say, Larry, you're playing Batman and I was playing Nightwing and someone else was playing Catwoman. Well, you could move as Batman into a room, punch a guy, and then I, as Catwoman, could move through that room into another room and disarm a bomb, and then Nightwing could do something, and then if you wanted to, Batman, like you could move to another room to help Nightwing. So it's completely independent of each other. So you can set up these really cool like turns, especially for like team working and that kind of stuff. So that's one of them. On the hero side, their sort of their main gameplay is you're assigning these energy cubes to each of these wells and for the strength of the action and all of those kinds of things until you don't want to do it anymore. On the villain side, they have the same action economy with the resource cubes. It's not as involved as the heroes. It's a little bit more streamlined, but they have what's called the river. And so for all of your characters that are on the board, they have a card represented that represents their group. Typically, there's like 4 miniatures per group of like thugs or guards or whatever. And on this river, it has a descending energy cost to activate them. So if someone is at the far left of the river, their cost is 1. So you can spend 1 of your energy to activate that group. Then that card is picked up, moved to the far right, and everything else is slid down, decreasing the cost of all the things that you slid down. And so there's this cool, like, all right, so if I really want to activate my guy who's towards the back because he's super strong or he's in the right spot, it's going to cost me a lot of my energy cubes, and I only get 5 of those back per turn based on the specifics of the mission. So again, there's this really cool like risk reward because most of your actions are determined by dice roll. And there's a little bit of mitigation, but not by much. So everything, it could be like, it always pushes you to say, let me put in a little bit more energy to make sure I can roll extra dice. But then you're keeping yourself from doing something later.
Does that feel a little fiddly while you're playing?
I thought it would, but it actually makes quite a bit of sense, and you never really question it while you're doing it.
Gotcha.
You know, it's like,
it sounded that way when you were going through it. I was like, ooh, that sounds like, and you know me.
Yeah.
You know, fiddly's kind of not really a thing with me if the game is good.
No, it is. It is. It's not fiddly in the least because it's literally you're picking up from this one spot to put in here to signify that you've done this, and then there's some clearing sort of like a reset phase type deal. You just pull them back to a different spot. It's so.
How much of it do you own? How much of it? I know that's a lot to that one.
Yes. Okay. So the original Kickstarter, I think, came with like 5 or 6 boxes of stuff. I only got the base box and the villain box, and then I got the Batmobile and what I was able to buy. Okay. So there's an Arkham Asylum from season 1 that has a bunch of other villains. There's also a Batcave that's a bunch of heroes. So there's 4. Then there's another map box. And there's one other one, I think. And then season 2 just came out they kickstarted that one last June, and that had like Suicide Squad and a lot of other kind of like smaller Batman specific type, adjacent type things that had added new maps, new characters, and that. Well, and one of the things I didn't know when I was able to play this a couple of weeks ago is that Monolith is actually putting out a season 3 Kickstarter. And that's coming out in May. I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure they are also coming out with a Batman Gotham City Chronicles RPG. I'll need to go back and verify that, but I believe that they're coming out concurrently. So just like your G.I. Joe RPG that just came out, Monolith is creating a Batman-specific RPG, but also the Gotham City Chronicles season 3 is coming out in May. Very cool. Your boy's he's gonna do some yard work to save up, because if I can swing in and pick up all the stuff that I missed, because man, it's now and you're gonna hate me for this.
No, man, I won't hate you.
No, you are, because you tried to get me to do this. I think I might start trying to paint.
No.
Yeah, I know. You're like, man, we should have been doing that years ago. You're right. But I've made a new acquaintance who I've been playing Marvel Crisis Protocol with. He's an incredible painter. He's got some cool tips and stuff, and so he's kind of encouraging me there.
We had incredible painters before.
Oh, this is true, but this is a guy I game with on the regular now, and so and then we were watching how to paint video with the boys the other day, and we saw this new type of paint. So basically, there's a kind of a spray base that you spray and then you paint, and it instantly does highlights for you. So highlights and contours. So instead of going like painting one color and then coming back with a lighter color to hit that, just the way the chemical base is created.
You can do that with. You've been able to do that with ink washes all along. But I hear you.
You know what? Okay, cool, Larry. You go. Yes.
Well, you know what? You know what? I learned that from my friend Chad. Chad is the one who told me about that.
Well, Chad is an absolute genius, and I did spend.
When we were getting ready to have our episode with Chad, which he agreed to, and we were going to go through a whole painting tutorial, and then you and I were going to have pictures and video, and then, you shot it down. So, no, I'm not mad.
I didn't shoot it down. I just didn't show up. There's a... Oh, yeah, I know. Listen, hey, there are a lot of things that when I get to heaven, I'm going to have to atone for.
Oh, that's everybody, brother, on that one.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want ultra mega deep on that one.
That's what Jesus, listen, I am sorry for that time Larry wanted to paint, and I didn't.
Ain't him you need to apologize to. You might need to call Chad.
That's true. Yeah. Chad too busy running the world, man. He's doing awesome. I miss him and Doris.
I know, right?
So, all right. So first impressions. Here is what I want to tell you about Batman Gotham City Chronicles.
I thought that's what you were doing the last 42 minutes.
This is the game that I played was thrilling. Was just flat out fun.
No, that's what it's all about.
Right. There were some hoops that I had to jump through to get there. Number one, cost of entry is gonna be high. If you love miniatures, like
I mean, what you're talking about.
Yeah. So this is one. But if you're like I like Batman, but I'm more of a game. Just give me it's a scenario based game.
That's great.
And you come with the book, and then once you play those scenario, you've seen everything that there is. Now it does.
Is there a game to play after you finish the scenarios?
So you just have to set those scenarios up. And that's it. But what they do is they do give you different hero combinations that you can play with.
And so like you beat up on the Penguin sometimes, maybe.
Right. And so in that area, like I had to let go of the idea of like, so it's not real. It is infinitely replayable in the sense that it's like watching your favorite episode, but it may kind of change a little bit. Like the setup, but the actual like the moment to moment is significantly different. But because the villains,
which Batman is this?
What do you mean?
Which universe? Which setting? Is it one of the games? Is it the comic book? Is it one of the cartoon shows?
It is mostly the comic book.
Okay. Cool.
So
Very
yeah,
cool.
it's the dark and
awesome.
kind of gritty. But they do have like one of the playable characters that I have is the Dark Knight. So like the Frank Miller version, and it's one of the sculpts. And then they actually have Catwoman from the Long Halloween, and but then then they have like the New 52 kind of people and stuff. So yeah, so that's my first impression. So all right, Larry, what was your game?
Cool. Well, my game actually isn't out yet, and so I am going to be able to talk about something that's coming up. I want to do a full disclosure to begin with. Obviously, I now work for Van Ryder Games. So I do want to get that out there, but still we're going to do a first impression, and hopefully eventually we'll get an opportunity to get some play in, and you and I will get to talk about it more in depth. But the game that I have got an opportunity to look at is going to be The Dark Quarter, which is being, of course, it's being co-published by Lucky Duck and Van Ryder Games, of course, designed by Evan Derrick over at with us at Van Ryder. So this one, guys, is really interesting. I know you both most likely have seen a lot of the early videos, some of the unboxing stuff, which we obviously don't have here, even though I had a copy with me, and maybe some how to play things, but I just want to cover my first impressions of it. First and foremost, it is an app-driven game, and those of you who have been here for any amount of time know how Larry feels about that. I don't feel like they're worthless. They're not my first, place to look. It wouldn't be my first shot, but I can fully acknowledge when an app-driven experience could not be otherwise had, and it's a good experience, such as Mansions of Madness, such as Search for Planet X, and for what I believe is going to end up eventually being the Dark Quarter as well. I'm definitely going to give them their props. And also I own Search for Planet X, by the way, so it's not like I've not even purchased one. But it is app-driven. I just want to put that out there. I know for some people
Search for Planet X is still my favorite app-driven board game.
It's so good.
So good.
But what you do here in this one, the Dark Quarter, basically it's set in 80s New Orleans, and you're playing one of four different private investigators that work for a firm that sometimes, of course, helps the NOPD, the New Orleans Police Department, on cases. And, of course, we're talking New Orleans, so we're talking the occult. Obviously, there's going to be some spooky things going on. The game is M-rated. I do want to say that up front. It is M-rated, so all that entails. So if that's something that's going to be a problem for you, please be aware of that before you go to play it. Understand that, that's there up front for a reason. It's not hidden. They didn't try to come up with some other call for it. It is rated M for mature. And it's mostly, the language and the situations, but you're investigating some very hinky circumstances. I know that a lot of people are talking about it.
Wait, is that the official term that the game uses? Hinky?
That's the official term that I just used.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wish, if you have any say, I would, please have them put that in the rule book.
And make it say hinky?
Yeah.
No, they go into more detail. This is me not trying to give too many spoilers. They go into more detail in terms of what you're investigating, but you end up investigating some things. And it has a very unique system. When I was listening to you talk about the action system, I was trying to run through my head the similarities. One of the really, really, I thought was just one of the cool things, they have these beautiful boards, the player boards, and there are four different attributes, and you put colored cubes on them, and they have spacing from left to right, counting up from 1 through 10. And the character setup and the scenario setup directs you to put cubes on certain numbers, the colored cubes in their right color on the track, so the red, purple, yellow, and green. And it directs you to put them on in certain numbers. And what happens is when you do any kind of, it's like an RPG, when you do any kind of a check where you need to check your whether it's a fighting check or you're trying to intimidate somebody, whatever it is that you need to roll dice, you roll the dice and you're looking the left to right, so the numbers going from 1 to 10, you want to equal them or better, and those will be successes. So when you're putting your cubes out, if the character of the scenario has you putting all your cubes in 8, 9, and 10, that means they're not very good at that. Because every time you roll dice, you roll two main big beautiful dice, and then they have something called effort dice. And your characters have up to 3 of those. And you refresh one at the start of every turn of the smaller dice. And they're just D6s, but they have special symbols on them. And those help you. So you roll the big dice that are just big, beautiful D6s, and you got the straight numbers on the D6s. And then you can roll the effort dice. Some of them have little starbursts. That means an automatic success. And then you add the number of successes that you got. So if you're trying to physically beat up someone, and your first cube is on 3, that means you're pretty good in combat. Because all you got to do is beat a 3 to get at least one success. So I thought that was really neat. Now again, it's app driven, so the app keeps up with everything. And I alluded to it earlier. What I wanted to say, one of the things that I know that's coming forward in terms of the system, and they're talking about it now. This app is not just here to facilitate story and voiceover and sound effects. It is keeping up with your choices. It is keeping up with your character from game to game. Yeah, from round to round. So the decisions that you make are going to be kept in the app. So your game will be your game.
Oh, okay.
And so that's one of the things that they're getting in terms of the app, of value from the app that couldn't really be done, otherwise. There's no way to, journal or write it down. And then you may not be feeling that way this particular day. So you may not play that trade out. Well, you're not going to have the option with the app. Once you've gone away and something's happened, that's the way it's going to be. But I only played through the first case, the first scenario. And it was solo. I ran 2 investigators. Obviously, I play solo, and the app will let you run as many as you want. If you want to run all 4 of them, you could. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was app-driven, and it was exciting. And I'll admit it was part of work. So I'm thinking, well, this is work. but I really got into it. I can really see what it is that they're trying to get to in terms of story. So it does feel like pretty quickly the immersion jumps up that, there's something going on. I'm part of this big, larger world, and now I'm role playing this character. All your choices are in the app. You can play it however you want to, as far as, within the confines of the app. If a guy asks, if you're asking a question of a cop and you're trying to get an answer, you can't pull your gun out and shoot him. I mean, that's not an option. You can either be nice, or you can try to intimidate him, or you can try to bribe him. So it was really cool. But it's so far, it's been a really, really, really cool experience. It's different because of how it felt, how much RPG like it felt. And I was sitting there by myself playing a board game. So that has me very excited. So first impressions, even though it is a prototype copy, it's, and the components aren't final. And I definitely recommend, if you're interested at all, anybody, go and look for the unboxing videos. That copy that I had is the same copy that we've sent out to influencers and YouTubers and reviewers to review it. So that's why, they're doing their showing you the video, showing you the unboxing. Even at this early stage, near final but not final stage, so far they're gorgeous. The dice are gorgeous. I hope they don't change one bit. I don't think they're going to. The dice are gorgeous.
Yeah, I've seen those out different through Facebook gorgeous. Or whatever. People looking at them.
And they are super satisfying to roll. They're appropriately heavy and chunky. They're great. The board, it's New Orleans. It's a map of New Orleans, and then most of your play goes on your board in terms of your stats. You have your own inventory, and then the agency has an inventory. So sometimes if something's in the agency inventory, as one of the investigators, you can just see it. Other times you have to be together. You can be in the same square. There's a huge degree of freedom with the movement, which I like. When it's your turn, you can go somewhere and interact with something or someone, and that's it. You have an economy, particularly as it pertains to successes. Like if you're questioning someone, you have to roll against that. And how many successes you get is how many questions you get to ask them. But
okay.
The board is free. You can go wherever you want. So if you start at downtown New Orleans or St. Louis Cathedral, for instance, you can go to the crime scene if you want to. You can go back to the agency. You can go to City Hall. You can go wherever you want to. And then they have these cards that are pretty good sized cards that the story tells you at certain times to flip them over. And that's how it handles the other locations or the detail of the location. So the main game board map is like, the 10,000 foot view. But when you get into, say, a house or a crime scene, it'll direct you to one of those cards and you flip that card over. And then now you've got just a much smaller view. It's where you take your mini. It does have minis in it. You put your mini there. It'll tell you how to set up, what encounters to set up. So you'll set markers up. You don't know what they are. And then it's up to you. Do you go through the door on the left or do you go upstairs? You're only going to be able to do one this turn. You may have to come back and do the other one next turn. There's a guy standing there. Do you talk to him or do you investigate the body? And you get an opportunity to see all of these things laid out. And like I said, those side cards, which I love that idea. It's a brilliant idea, something I toyed around with in game design. I love that because it allows the game board, for one, to not be ginormous.
Right.
B, it allows for so much more replayability because now you can release new locations and you don't have to do a whole new board. So now we've got a new case that's got its all new locations and they go right in the box. You've got these nice, big, beautiful cards, that this new interior, and you've got all these really cool things going on. I enjoyed it. I know that a lot of people have been hyped for it. Evan created it. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot of really good story being told. Be ready to be immersed, I think. Be ready to see some turns.
So Evan Derrick, created this the game itself, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Who did the was it Lucky Duck that did the narrative piece of it, or who's credited with sort of the narrative story?
In terms, the story. As far as I know, Evan wrote the story too.
Oh wow! Okay.
There are some people at Lucky Duck to work with. I definitely don't want to misquote because I know that they have had some input. Mm-hmm. So I know it's basically he created it. He's written some stuff. He sent it over. It came back, and there's some collaborative things.
And so I would say Lucky Duck is more the so their investment in it is really the app technology, correct?
Well, they did do that, but that's not their only investment. This game is based on a system of the game that they've already put out. It's the same system. I want to say it is their.
It's a detective, isn't it?
I think it is detective.
Yeah, it's their detective series because they have several different versions over different time periods.
Right, and that's a specific type of the gameplay, the system with the dice and the card, and all of that is from Lucky Duck.
Okay.
So it's basically being adapted, taking a little bit different approach with the 4 players, but that's kind of where it's coming from. That system has been known, and Lucky Duck's already put that out there. But they did do the app, yes. So, and of course publishing, obviously, and so I'm excited about it. I mean, I honestly, if you're excited, if you think any of this excites you, then definitely be looking out for that Kickstarter is coming up. But it is one that I got to play. My first impressions are very favorable. I will get some more time with it, obviously, just as a matter of course of things moving forward. Hopefully, Alex and I both will get some time to sit down. I really want you to play it as well. But this is another one to look forward to. A very meaty experience. I think this is one you're going to be able to pull off your shelf when you're in a certain mood or you want to spend a little bit more time with something. Not hard to pick up. But still a lot of meat on the bones and something you can really kind of dig down into. So super exciting about that one. And that is my first impression of The Dark Quarter by Evan Derrick, published by Lucky Duck Games and Van Ryder Games, releases in 2023. As of the time that you hear this, the Kickstarter will not have launched, but I do believe it's on April 12th, I do believe. So the Kickstarter will be on the way for that one. So go and by all means check that out. And with
for those of you interested in Batman Gotham City Chronicles, I want to say May the 24th is when they will be dropping season 3. And
y'all going to hear Alex get kicked out of his house because he's going to spend $764 getting
that is not true. Cynthia, if you are listening, it's not true. It's like, it's not even, it's like, only like 500.
He going to do it. He going to do
only
it.
Like,
he going to do it.
Oh, no, nah.
Hey, I know this.
I'll be on a totally different podcast.
I know this.
Welcome to How Your Financial Issues Ruined Your Marriage. I'm your host, Alex Wallace.
I better not have my UPS man knocking on my door saying, hey, got a box here, but it says for Alex Wallace. You want to take this? It's a lot of boxes. Like half my truck is.
Honestly, at that point, it'd be COD, cash on delivery. So
I'm telling you now,
like,
that's going
send
back.
it on back. I don't want it.
That's going back. Let us, sir, move right along.
And we're back.
Woohoo! Mr. Alex.
I was trying to think of like a G.I. Joe version, but theirs was just like the more you know. Like was the
well, that was that was
that's
at the end.
No, that's the more you know. That's NBC.
Oh yeah.
No, it's like, and knowing is half the battle.
There you go. Knowing is half, but I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Hey man, it's game time.
Game time!
It's game time! So basically, for those of you who don't know, we like to segmentize everything. Game time is kind of a catch-all where we want to place some things that's a general gaming topic. We want to just kind of talk about it. And we've got a pretty cool one to talk about this time. It's another game, which I'm super excited about. And Alex had pointed this one out to me a couple of weeks ago. What are we talking about this time, sir?
Well, let's see here. Going to the notes. No. I would say I'm a huge movie buff. If you don't know from all of my weird references that I make, like even a Gremlins 2 reference. I mean, who has seen Gremlins 2 for real?
He did this episode.
Yeah, it's true. But movies are an incredibly important part of my life, and one movie in particular, I would say has. I mean, it is probably. Even your horrible rendition of it still brings me to tears. The Jurassic Park movie that came out in 1993 has in way more ways that I have time to actually to discuss. No, I wasn't 5. I was like 8 or 9. No,
I thought
not
I was
83.
way off.
I was 10.
I was way off.
I was 10. I was 10 when it came out. But I saw that movie. I remember distinctly. I don't have memories of my childhood. Like, I have a horrible memory, but I remember seeing this image of in the newspaper, nonetheless, of like when John Hammond holds the baby raptor in the egg. Like, I remember that, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, can I go see this?" And she's like, "Sure." And I'm like, screaming like 3 hours later because all the T-Rex stuff. But no, that movie blew me away and changed my little 10-year-old brain.
Along with the rest of us, sir.
Yeah, but and then even from there, like the score was one of the first CDs I ever requested and owned, and I have probably listened to the Jurassic Park score. I would say easily 500 to 600 times in my lifetime, if not more, and that's not even hyperbole.
And you put it on one time. We were playing games, and you put it on.
Yeah, I go again,
He's
and it
telling
just
the
like.
truth.
And I know, like, yeah. So, but regardless, so the Jurassic Park franchise is incredibly important to me. Even the sequels are, I have a fondness for.
Some of them sequels are terrible.
Well, no, they all have their the things that are part of them, and I really enjoyed the Jurassic World franchise. I enjoyed what they did. So. All of that to say, Prospero Hall and Funko. So the people have been putting Funko basically owns the license, like has the reproduction license for a lot of things, and they got together with Prospero Hall and created a Jurassic World Legacy board game.
Yeah.
Looking at the pictures, this game. Really leans into almost kind of this like
Jurassic World: The Legacy of Ilsa Nublar.
So it has kind of this I want to say overall sort of like golden age of comics aesthetic. Like adventure tales or things that you'd see like in the 1950s and 60s. And overall I don't know much about the gameplay because they only have really previewed in all of the things the first tutorial mission because it has 12 missions, one tutorial and one finale, and then 10 missions in between that. But what it seems to me, it seems that there's a kind of like each person has a character. You move around. You're attempting to sort of, for lack of a better term, colonize the island, or just build up your actual Jurassic Park. So moving around the island, knowing when you want to put certain buildings, where you want to put them, because where you put them, and then what dinosaur paddocks and different things you put around. If you can't keep the dinosaurs in the right place, they may attack your visitor center. So there's a lot of things, but what the way that they're sort of sort of selling this is that after these 12 adventures, you will have a unique game board and pieces, because you won't have unlocked everything, but it will be infinitely replayable from that point forward. So you go through the journey of constructing the board in your narrative arc, and then when you get to the end, it will be your Jurassic Park, and then the game will be just a standard board game at that point with with the pieces that you've unlocked and how you've sort of created the board.
We talked about that earlier. That for me, when it comes to quote unquote legacy games, that's how I always envision they should be. And like we talked about it, Risk Legacy was like that. When you finished the game, you had a unique risk board, and so somewhere between there and here. Legacy kind of took on a little bit of a different meaning. And I think some of that probably with publishers looking to monetize things. But I've always appreciated basically what you just said, or the way that they're doing it, the way Risk Legacy did it, that when you finish, you've got a unique version of your game to play. I think that's fantastic. And that's one of the things that got me super excited about it. I'll be honest, I don't dislike the current aesthetic, but I'm not super crazy about it. Mm-hmm. And the only reason why is because I'm curious about the game. The current aesthetic, what it says to me personally as a consumer, is that this is a game that's designed by Prospero Hall and backed up by Funko. And so they went to the same well for art. Yeah, they're not that deep with art. They didn't want to spend, they didn't want to do anything different. I can't say that they're not spending money for art. That's not fair. I don't, because clearly they are. But they didn't want to do anything different. They were like, let's go to the same art sources. Let's go back to the same well that we always go to do the art. So that's, I feel like giving it a bit of a different aesthetic may have been a better choice. But again, with us not having played it, like you said, we don't even know how it plays. That may not even matter. I'm still super duper excited to play this. When you had first pointed it out to me not too long ago, I didn't know much. I hadn't heard about it when you had first pointed it out. But now I've gone and had an opportunity to look, and now we're talking about it. So I will definitely be keeping an eye on this one because I'm excited to play this one actually.
Yeah, and I think for me, what's really and they have me hook, line, and sinker on the nostalgia factor. Because and I mean, that's a marketing ploy, and I'm going to tell you it works, because this is something that I have an emotional bond to, and everything these days is playing on nostalgia because you're now making your financial decisions based on emotions opposed to reason. But luckily, I now have a near teenager who has more money than I do, so I can just say, "Hey, Jackson, what do you think about splitting this with Dad?" Because he enjoys the movies just as much as I do. But regardless, I am genuinely excited about this. I would say there's about 15 days left on the Kickstarter from the time of recording. So if this comes out April 1st, you'll have about 10 days maybe to still jump in on this. But I think they ship in September. So it will be a really quick turnaround. I think they've already have most of these in production already.
Yeah, no, because it looks like a finished product. I mean, it looks like a Funko product, but it looks like a finished product. Absolutely.
Right, right.
No, and that's good. I mean, that's cool. I mean, this is, we like you said, Funko owns a lot of rights to everything because Funko is like Hasbro, but much smaller. They're a toy company first and foremost. They make toys. Them doing this, I actually hope it portends very well. The fact that they went to Prospero Hall, I think, is a good thing because Prospero is very solid game design. So hopefully some of the other licenses that they have, for them, even though Funko's a company and a known entity, and even though Prospero Hall's a known entity, crowdfunding may or may not be Kickstarter, but crowdfunding makes total sense. Because again, this is not what Funko does. So now, I will admit, this thing hits huge, and they decide to dive into it. I would personally like to see them step to, maybe putting some budget aside and bringing some things straight to market. But still, at this point, no matter how big this is, this makes sense from a business perspective because again, it's not the usual people that they deal with. At the end, I'm sure the distributors are all the same. But that's one cool thing about it. Funko knows how to deal with those distributors because they're dealing with them for the pops, and it's going to be the same ones. They're going to a lot of the same places. But the end result, with it being a board game, from just talking business perspective here for a minute, that's going to be a little different for them. But no, it's exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I actually hadn't looked. I'm going to quickly look at the Kickstarter. I didn't realize it was already on Kickstarter. I was looking at the BGG entry. Let me copy the name because it takes way too long to type that out. And Kickstarter does some really strange stuff sometimes where it will not find it if you don't give the exact name. There it is.
Oh yeah, it is. They've
done. They're doing okay.
Yeah, they're doing. They're about what 200%, I think.
Probably yeah, because they wanted 100. They're a little bit over that. They're almost 300%. They wanted 100,000 and they're sitting at 295, 280. That's really that is cool. I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited to know. I guess I need to pay more attention to this. The Kickstarter edition is not the thrifty choice, but that's the only option they have. They have one option. So I like it when it's simple like that too. Everything that we're making is right here, buddy. So here's the one price point. You get it. You either get it or you don't.
Yeah.
I like that about it. That's pretty cool. So I'll look at that later. So no, that's really cool. So there we go. Jurassic World Legacy. The Legacy of Ilsa Nublar by Prospero Hall. It's going to be published by Funko Games, and it releases in 2022 is what they currently have on BGG. So, and I think that's more realistic. I would love to see it ship in September, but depending on where it is. And this has nothing to do with Larry working for a publisher. This has everything to do with Larry being a super backer on Kickstarter and having kickstarted a ton of Kickstarters. End of the year, if they're funding this year, unless it's already in production. If it's currently in production, then they may make it. But there's just so many moving parts, and everything, of course, is slowed down now because of the global situation. So I would love to see it hit, but I think we'll see if they slip into 2023. If they're saying 2022, I'm betting it probably already is in production.
Yeah, I really do think it is.
Yeah, because Funko's going to take it. They're going to take it to retail anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I because one of the things that they're offering for the Kickstarter is like a Kickstarter specific sleeve for the game, which says that they already have mass marketed these. This is just a way for you to get it earlier. Yeah,
because right now they have 2,900 backers. I'm saying only, but that's fantastic. But a print run of 5,000 probably covers that. So you can safely say whenever this went live a couple of days ago, you can safely say in March, hey, push the button, all the files are go. We want 5,000 of them, and we may want another 5. If it blows up and they need 10. So no, it may. If it's in production now, they will absolutely make it 2022, and it's definitely not impossible. I'd have to look into it to see. But hey, there's enough on that. Guys, take a look at it. Like you said, it's still active as of the time you guys hear this over on Kickstarter if you like Jurassic Park and you need them. I'm glad Alex is going to get it. It does look fun. It's very exciting to have a separate board. But I've got so many really good already Jurassic Park games that aren't Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it. That
I think are probably superior games that I'm going to kind of hold on to those.
Yeah, I mean, Dinosaur World, Dinosaur Island. I mean, all of those tried to play into that same kind of niche market.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing. They just didn't have the license. I mean.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. And so I have a feeling this could, since I don't own Dinosaur Island or Dinosaur World.
I do.
And of course I'm still over the moon for Raw and Right. I think that's just a great implementation of that.
It's amazing what they did in the Roll and Right.
Yeah. So that's something to look out for. I mean, I know that emotionally, I'm stoked for it. So we'll see if hopefully it'll turn out to be something truly magical like the film was. So, all right. I say we got a couple of quick little quick hits after the break, and then we'll land this puppy.
And we are back. Mr. Alex, let's take a deeper look, sir. You've got some things to share with us on your gaming front, things that you've maybe finished.
Yeah, absolutely. I officially completed The King's Dilemma. And it only took 2 years, I think. No, maybe a year. No, I think it was March of last year when we started. And so it took us a year.
So it took you a year.
Yeah, it took us a year. But granted, we were just a lot of different things inconsistent, but we finally got
the pandemic on.
Yeah, but we landed with it's our neighbors, and so we have kind of committed to an every other week type of deal, and to do some sort of legacy thing. But yeah, about 3 weeks ago we finished it, and it. Just in a nutshell, here is my feeling about King's Dilemma. It is solely unique in what it does. Okay. There is nothing else on the market that is like this game. Okay. Now, with that said, if you play like I did, it loses a little bit of its luster. When you're 3 months removed from your last game.
Yes. Well,
because it has several different story arcs that it follows, and you kind of forget who's who and what's going on. The way that it ended you don't even know how to win the game until you get into the end game, and then it is so but then you're like, oh, all of this makes sense, and the end of the game is so tense, and even if you've done really, really well, you could the entire game, you could still lose, but it uses wonderful choices to kind of to play out how things go down, and it's just the ending was climactic and probably the most memorable piece of that for me. Not to say that the rest of the game wasn't truly wonderful. Yeah. My recommendation is this game is meant to be played with 5 people over the span of like 36 hours. So if you can, sleeping, you could sleep. I mean, so that's like 2 days. But, like some people who schedule D&D weekends and stuff like that.
Getaways.
Like this, getaways. Like this is one of those games you could take for a weekend. And I highly, we played it at 4, and 4 was actually quite pleasant. But I think 5 is really where it would just be brilliant. But if you could play like over 2 days with the same 5 people, you could finish the whole thing and have probably one of the most memorable experiences of your entire life. I genuinely believe it if you do it in that kind of setting.
Really cool. Okay.
So but I'm so glad that I did it. There is a follow-up that they announced about a month or 2 ago called the Queen's Dilemma. So I am really interested to see what they've learned from this first iteration and how they apply it moving forward. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, like Cynthia and our kind of our non-gaming neighbors who we roped in through this, I think that's sort of a given for us. Is like, well, we will play that when it comes out because we enjoyed the first one so much. Okay. But it was truly a memorable time. I wish that we would have played it closer together. I think that would have made, because the game before our final game, I was ready to be done. I was just like, I was finding ways to try and how can I speed the gaming mechanism up to bring it to the end game? Yeah, because after a year, I was like, I want to play something new. But it was really cool. So so that's my deeper look. We finished King's Dilemma by Hiljamer Hash and Lorenzo Silva, published by Horrible Guild Games, which I did not realize put out Dungeon Roll. Not Dungeon Roll, Dungeon or what's the one where you have to roll the dice onto
Railroad
the big
Inc., man.
on
Railroad
the big
Inc.,
board with the
Railroad Inc., man.
Well, they did Railroad Inc., but
did you say Heel Jammer? Is that what you called him?
I don't even. How do you say his name? How do you say it? What?
You called him Heel Jammer.
Heel Jammer?
Wait a minute. Hold on, bro.
How do you spell? How do you say his name? Oh, you're gonna make me feel bad. Dungeon Fighter, Horrible Guild put out Dungeon Fighter, which is the one where one of the first board games I ever bought, and you have to roll the dice on the board, and you have to roll it off your nose.
That.
I didn't know you when I got this.
Okay, I got
but I owned it for several years. But it was such a blast. So, which is just really funny to me because
speaking of which, I got to play Dice Throne Season 2, and it was glorious.
Oh yeah. My Marvel Dice Throne's coming in. I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped. The boys have really enjoyed that. We enjoyed playing your copy. So thanks for letting us borrow that.
Oh yeah. No, it was really
all
good.
right. So we got a little bit of news that we want to kind of set out there for you. So this kind of game life, just sort of talk about hobby board gaming in general and how it's integrated in our everyday lives, and not necessarily know how this will affect most of you, but as a lot of you know, I participate in a lot of secondhand market of board gaming, buying, selling, trading, and that. But one of the main avenues for me for trading has been the board game geek market,
which I've actually engaged with on occasion as well. Not as much as you, but yeah.
Well, actually, I think the trading is separate than the geek market. I know
I've
that
done
for a
geek
fact.
Market. Yeah, I've done geek market.
Yeah, but the geek market is usually like if you have to find a game, geek market is where you go because it's always there. But one of the issues with geek market is that there are basically 3 different entities that you have to engage with when completing a purchase. You have to engage with BGG, and they take a percentage of your sale for hosting the sale. Then you have to deal with like PayPal or Venmo or, any particular money transferring market, and they take a cut. And then you have to deal with the shipping company. So UPS, FedEx, USPS, and all of that. And that takes another cut. And so from our understanding, what BGG is doing is they are now taking everything and putting it into their entity. So they have partnered with Stripe, which is basically kind of an online payment-taking corporation.
Stripe is a part of it. The main partnership, according to the article, is market-based.
Okay.
That's who they're dealing with, yeah.
Okay. So, Stripe is the financial arm of it ish. Yeah. So because they're the ones that are processing the payment, and so what's happening is that you will input one thing, and then everything will take place within the BGG ecosystem. So processing payment, processing shipping labels. So it's all there now. The BGG fees have gone up. But what it seems to be that actually, even though they have gone up, you are cutting out. I think you're cutting out some other secondary fees that you would get from like the PayPal transaction and then the shipping transaction. So I actually think most consumers may come out equal, if not saving money. In this transaction, or it may just be, a wash. But if anything, Larry and I were just talking about it, I think it's just going to make life a whole lot more simpler.
Yeah, using the BGG marketplace anyway, not having to deal with, like you said, the 3 different entities, that will make it easier. And I mean, things need to be modernized from time to time. And like I said earlier, I've dealt with the market. I've bought some things, not a lot, just a few things, and I haven't had any issues with it. I mean, but I wasn't selling; I was buying. So, I purchased some games and was able to go through, and I did have to deal with, obviously, the payment, because the current seller system, they can say what they're accepting. So, there were only certain people doing certain things. And I will admit my purchases were tailored to the ones who would accept the payment that I was willing to deal with, in terms of, I don't want to go and set up for a whole new system of, being able to pay people electronically if somebody over here is already taking PayPal, for instance. So that type of thing will stop. And, we just want to point it out because it is fairly big. It's a fairly big, underpinning part of BGG's website, obviously, in terms of people being able to interact. You're dealing with, my recommendation on it is a little different than going to an FLGS, obvious reasons for the FLGS. But I would definitely recommend people go here and deal with this because you're dealing with another gamer. They love the game like you did. Mm-hmm. They got it. They took care of it. It's probably going, if they sleeved it, they're probably going to leave the sleeves on it. If they got a custom insert, there's no reason to take that out. So that's going to be there. Sure, you're going to run into games that have been loved really well. But I think by and large, what you're going to run into are games that were dealt with by people who loved on them, people who played them, who were excited to get it to a new home. And you'll open this thing up and be like, oh, no, this is pretty cool. So that's one of my cool reasons why, if you're looking and if the used market is okay for you, then I think that's definitely one of the places you want to go and look. Is the BGG marketplace again, just because gamers like you are selling them, so they took care of them.
Yeah, so that's just something to be aware of if you engage in the Facebook marketplace. I mean, not Facebook, board game marketplace, board game geek marketplace. Just be aware that change is coming soon. It's currently in beta testing, and I think they're going to roll it out this summer.
Yeah, we're going to we'll link to the big article on BGG about it. They're doing betas, and like they said, they're not going to just shut down the old marketplace. Eventually, it will be phased out. but I haven't seen a date yet. There may be one in that thread. It's like 7 or 8 pages. It's just, a lot of input on the thread. So yeah, by all means, go if that's something you do or you're not aware of it. If you're just getting in the game, just listening to us, and you thought it was just about buying new, no. You can sometimes, particularly things that are out of print. If you're discovering things that are out of print, then you're going to have to go to a place like this. So this is a safer place to do it in terms of you will get either your game or your money back.
Yeah.
You're dealing with some of the, just going on Craigslist or something. You might not, telling what might show up. But at least this way, you'll be sure to get your game, though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. So I guess we're at the wow. I mean,
wow.
It's like we've it's been a while since we said wow.
Well, since last episode.
Well, I know, but that last episode felt like a while. Now there's my country coming out. Wow, 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 wow.
And last episode felt like a wow.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, again, I think now that you're settled, and I definitely feel like be in your new house.
Who's settled?
You settled in your new house, your new job, all the stuff. Like we're back, baby. I feel like we're gonna get in our groove, and we're gonna the wows are gonna just be coming left and right and center. Lots of wows.
So thanks for spending time with us, everyone. We appreciate
I'm just
you
excited.
coming out.
I'm excited to talk about board games with you, Larry.
We appreciate you coming out and spending time with us. Don't forget to reach out to us via email or Instagram or Twitter. And for the Spoken Token, I'm Larry Neal saying, keep communicating.
And I'm Alex Wallace saying, as always, keep playing.
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you'd like to interact with us, please contact us through email at thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast, on Twitter at The Spoken Token, or on Facebook at The Spoken Token Podcast. And you can reach us through our BGG Guild, number 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.
Oh man, hit the stop button.